So there's a lot on my plate this morning concerning Israel, concerning the U.S. troop pullout in Syria, and I want to go straight to it. All right, breaking news. So yesterday, when President Donald Trump unexpectedly went to Iraq to talk to the soldiers, he told them, we are bringing the soldiers in Syria home. We're no longer going to be the suckers. That's what he told them. And concerning Israel, this is what he said. And just these few words really does provide some insight into his way of thinking. And he told these words to Benjamin Netanyahu. We give Israel $4.5 billion. It knows how to defend itself, he said during a visit to U.S. troops in Iraq. Now, anybody with half a brain knows what this means. What this really means, and when he told it to Benjamin Netanyahu, was this. We give you $4.5 billion, probably a year. You know how to defend yourself. Now go do it. So that is the reason why this happened yesterday. What was it? Yesterday or day before yesterday? Probably day before yesterday. U.S. sources. Israeli F-16s fired Delilah cruise missiles over Syria from Lebanese airspace. F-35 joined the second wave. Now, you don't see this on the news anywhere. And people, idiots, well, I'm sorry, maybe I shouldn't say that. People like Hal Turner, avid, rabid Israel haters, are angry, and they don't want to put the real news about this particular incident on, because Russia got severely embarrassed in this latest incident. So I will read the article and I'm going to explain a little bit about it, because it seems that a lot of people who've been reading about this have not put the dots together here concerning this airstrike. Okay, so we'll go ahead and read it, and I'll give you a little commentary here. U.S. military sources disclose that Israeli air offensive on Tuesday night, December 25th, was conducted by IAF F-16I fighter jets during Delilah cruise missiles, or firing Delilah cruise missiles from Lebanese airspace into Syria. Damascus is said to have countered the attack with Russian Pantsir S-2 and S-200 SAM air defense weapons. These highly credible sources also disclose that the Israeli attack was aimed at Syrian military sites, not Iranian and Hezbollah targets, as earlier reported in Israel and Damascus. The Israeli government and military chiefs had apparently decided, say the U.S. sources, to take advantage of the chaos generated by President Donald Trump's decision to pull U.S. troops out of Syria and anchor a threat of a Turkish army thrust across the Euphrates. Their purpose was to disable Syrian military sites where Iranian and Hezbollah combat assets were quartered. After the F-16 jets failed to connect to their targets, even the folks at Debka.com didn't get it. I don't understand it. The IDF sent the F-35 stealth planes over in a second wave. According to the earlier accounts coming from inside the region, a wide-ranging IDF attack southwest of Damascus Tuesday night, December 25th, hit Iranian and Hezbollah targets. They confirmed that some of them were embedded in Syrian army bases. Both versions confirmed the attack was launched from Lebanon airspace. Early Wednesday, the Syrian army released a video claiming to depict the interception of many of Israeli missiles hit by its air defense systems. Syrian and Lebanese sources describe the Israeli air offensive as lasting 30 minutes. If correct, then, this latest Israeli attack over Syria was the same length as the massive Israeli Air Force strike on November 29th, which struck at least 15 Iranian and Hezbollah targets. After that multiple raid, Damascus warned that henceforth there would be payback against corresponding targets inside Israel. A blackout covers the circumstances of massive explosion that rocked Israeli towns, including Hadera, Caesarea, and Zikron Yaakov, while the attack on Syria was in progress. It appears, however, that Syria did indeed fire an air defense missile into Israel in retaliation. The IDF spokesman would only say the air defense system was activated against an anti-air missile launched from Syria. No damage or casualties. This laconic statement indicates an interception did not take place and the Syrian missile may have landed somewhere in Israel. Social media carries photos of its fragments. Witnesses attest to the activation of an Israeli air defense battery located at Ain Shemer. This was the second time in 6 months that an IDF air defense battery failed to down a Syrian missile. On July the 23rd, a David Sling anti-air battery missed 2 Syrian SS-21 surface missiles that were headed to the Sea of Galilee. According to Arab sources, the targets of the Israeli attack were located at the military sector of Damascus Airport, where an Iranian transport plane, some say 3, had landed in 2 other locations. DMOT headquarters at the Syrian Army's 4th Division Katana site of its 10th Division and the command center of Syrian artillery forces further south at Khan al-Sheikh. Newsweek magazine quotes anonymous Pentagon sources as saying that one of Israeli missiles was aimed at a high-profile Hezbollah delegation, which had landed in Damascus from Beirut at the 16th hour. Local time, ready to board an Iranian flight bound for Tehran. They are said to have been on the way to a funeral of Ayatollah Hashemi al-Shaharudi. Other American sources report that only one member of the delegation was hurt. Now, this obviously does not provide the full picture. But when you go to the next one, is it the next one? Is it the next one? I believe it is. This one. This one provides more light. Moscow. Israel airstrike hazarded Beirut. Damascus civilian aircraft weighs extending Syria's missile shield to Lebanon. Now, of course, folks, we knew that Russia wants an excuse to put a complete chokehold on Israel. And anything, any self-defense maneuver that Israel does, Russia will use against Israel because, as I pointed out in several videos ago, it's obvious that the evil thought of, I believe it is Ezekiel 38:10, maybe, not sure, has already happened. So in a furious response to Israel's air offensive on Tuesday, December 25th, against Israel's military targets southwest of Damascus, the Russian defense minister spokesman accused Israel of provocative actions. Yes, they love to use that term, provocative, provocative, provocative. They do that with Ukraine. They do that with everybody who does not obey and bow down and kiss the ring of Vladimir Putin. When 6 F-16 aircraft launched an airstrike in Syrian territory from the airspace of neighboring Lebanon, creating a direct threat to 2 passenger aircraft, according to the spokesman, General Major Igor Konashnikov. According to the spokesman, this major general, the Israeli attack on Syria was again carried out under cover of 2 civil aircraft landing at the airports of Beirut and Damascus. Well, that was lie number 1. They were not civilian aircraft. They were military aircraft of Iran. But, you know, tell a lie often enough. Isn't that what, it was it, Vladimir Lenin? No, yes, Lenin. Yeah. Tell a lie often enough. Neither belonging to Russian air carriers. The Russian general stressed but did not say which country or airline the 2 planes did belong. Russian military sources described the Israeli attack as being conducted by IAF warplanes, which launched 16 missiles carrying GBU-39 bunker busters. All of this just changed. Now, we'll continue with this and you will begin to see what really happened. 2 reached their targets and 14 were intercepted by Syrian air defense weapons. But were all 16 of them GBU bunker busters? Or were they something else? Were they a decoy? It appears to be the case. Debka military and intelligence sources note that the Russian version partially dovetails with the version presented by the U.S. military sources. Both affirm that GBU-39 small diameter bombs, bunker busters, were used, but the Americans claim they were used in the second wave of strikes. Now, in our last article that we just read, the last wave was conducted by F-35s. That's what it said, right? So it appears that a different missile was used by the F-16s and in the first wave, and in the second wave, the F-35s bring in 2 GBU-39 small diameter bunker busters. Yeah. It appears that Israel knew that these S-200 missile defense systems from Russia would take out the other missiles. So what were they? What were the other missiles, the other 14? And only after Syrian anti-air missiles knocked out most of the Delilah cruise missiles fired from F-16 jets. This appears to be a strategy by Israel that worked. It worked. They knew how to defeat at least the S-200s. And that's probably how they'll defeat the S-300s. How did this happen? Again, you send in the F-16 jets with Delilah cruise missiles. They get taken out by the S-200 missile defense systems. Then you send in a second wave the F-35 stealth fighter jets with GBU-39 bunker busters. That is a strategy. That was no accident. That was no plan B business thing going on. You know, plan A didn't work and then we have to use plan. No, that was strategy. That was pure strategy. And it worked. Our sources also stressed that this was the first time that a Russian defense spokesman had referred to Beirut International Airport or Lebanon per se in the context of an Israeli airstrike over Syria. It may be taken as a Russian message to Jerusalem that the Kremlin and Russian army chiefs are weighing their options for retaliation against the Israeli air offensive. Of course they are. As I mentioned, Russia is going to use if Israel were to urinate against a wall, Russia would take that as a provocation. If Israel were to take a dump in the toilet, Russia would view that as a provocation, you see, folks. So, you see what's going on. One possibility is the expansion of the Russian shield of the S-400 and S-300 air defense missile systems protecting Syrian airspaces to the sky over Lebanon. Thus, this safety curtain would also protect Hezbollah. A decision in Moscow on how to react against Israel may take a few days, like the time lapse before the S-300 air defense systems were deployed in Syria after the downing of the Ilyushin 20 spy plane on September 17th, which Israel was blamed. Debka sources account for Moscow's fury over Israel's latest airstrikes by 2 factors. Number 1, Israel was always expected to respect the Russian role as protector of the Assad regime, a cardinal pillar of its foreign policy, and refrain from destabilizing actions. On Tuesday night, Israeli missiles were aimed at the Syrian army's 4th Division headquarters at Sabura, the mainstay of the regime. For Moscow, this crossed an unacceptable line in the relationship, even if Iranian or Hezbollah forces were located there. Number two, Russians were confident that their new air defense shield that they had deployed around Damascus consisted of Pantsir S-2, S-200 SAM, and Buck M2 and S-300 missile batteries was foolproof against any Israeli air or missile assaults on and around the Syrian capital. And indeed, that array struck down the first wave of Israeli missiles. See, they're not telling you the whole thing because they are afraid that if Israel speaks too loudly on this, like I'm doing, that Russia will react even worse. Russia tried to play a game of chess here and they lost again, as they keep losing again and again and again, just like they did in 1967, just like they did in 1973, and they're going to lose one more time. But Moscow did not count on the IAF persevering and immediately releasing a second wave of... Why not? The IQ still stuck in the double digits there, Russia? Huh? Is that what the problem is? They did not count on the IAF persevering and immediately releasing a second wave of missiles before the Syrians were able to reorganize for defense. So you see, there is a flaw in Russia's missile defense systems. There is a hole in it. And Israel took advantage of that hole and dropped two bunker busters, the ones that really counted, in the place that really counted. It was this perseverance which so angered the Russians in September after the IL-20 was shot down by a Syrian missile, and which set off the crisis in relations between Moscow and Jerusalem. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's rejoinder, "Our actions against Iran's military establishment in Syria will continue," he said on Wednesday. "We stand by our red lines." Folks, you see what's happening here, don't you? And Air Force Chief Major General Amikam Nurkin said, "By means of an extraordinary joint effort, we have thwarted Iran's drive for an active military foothold on our northern border. We are not done yet. If necessary, we are ready for more ground and air operations." Yeah. This hole in Russia's missile defense system got exposed for the whole world to see. And Israel exposed them. Little bitty Israel exposed Russia. So, Jerusalem Post, once again, the same statement here. This is posted on December 27th by Michael Wilner. Come on, Jerusalem Post. So Trump says Israel can defend itself with the billions the U.S. gave it. I spoke with Bibi, Trump continued. I told Bibi, you know we give Israel $4.5 billion a year, and they are doing very well at defending themselves. U.S. President Donald Trump on Wednesday dismissed Israeli concerns over his abrupt withdrawal of U.S. troops from Syria. Speaking to reporters in a surprise visit to Iraq, President Donald Trump said that Israel receives enough U.S. defense aid to defend itself amid concerns that a U.S. retreat would pave the way for Iranian forces marching towards the Israeli border. I'm the one that moved the embassy to Jerusalem. I was the one who was willing to do that, Trump said. So that's the way it is. We are going to take great care of Israel. Israel is going to be good. We give Israel $4.5 billion a year, and we give, frankly, a lot more than that if you look at the books. They've been doing a good job. Trump and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have frequently spoken of Iran's threat in Syria, including as recently as last week, according to aides and both leaders. Israel advocates repeatedly warned Trump that a complete withdrawal would expose Israel to great dangers. I spoke with Bibi, Trump continued. I told Bibi, we give Israel $4.5 billion a year, and they are doing very well at defending themselves. So it's obvious, folks, that Donald Trump is saying, go defend yourself. This is the signal that he sent to Benjamin Netanyahu. You defend yourself. It's not our job to defend you. It's your job, is what he's saying. So Israel is going to take that advice. Now, the question is, after Israel does defend itself, what will the United States do then? What will the world do then? Well, it has been my how do I put this? My understanding that based upon the statement written in Isaiah 60 verses 8 and 9, that not even once the dust settles, while the dust is still thick, while the smoke is still in the air. Yes, that the ships of the Atlantic, or as the Bible says, the ships of Tarshish, will be the first to bring Israel, the sons and daughters of Israel, home from far away. That's what it says. Of course, I don't think that Donald Trump realizes. Of course, all prophecy must come to pass. From Isaiah 60 verse 1 all the way to the very last verse. It must happen. But the world is not prepared, is absolutely not prepared for Israel defending itself. They just are not. Because the ramifications of Israel taking total control now of its own defense. This is starting now. President Donald Trump has signaled to Israel, you, Israel, have to defend yourself. The world is not prepared for this, folks. It's just, it is not possible for the world to be prepared for Israel taking care of their own self-defense. If you go read in Isaiah 60, it talks about the aftermath. The aftermath. Verse 1, arise and shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of Jehovah is risen upon you. Upon who? Zion. For behold, the darkness shall cover the land, and gross darkness the folk, the Gentiles. But Jehovah shall arise upon you, Zion, and his glory shall be seen upon you, Zion. And the Gentiles will be forced to come to your light, because there is going to be darkness where they live. And the kings to the brightness of your rising, O Zion. Lift up your eyes round about and look. They're all gathering themselves together. Who? Who's gathering themselves together? They come to you, your sons, oh, Zion's sons, all Israel, shall come from afar, and your daughters will be nursed at your side. Then you shall see and flow together, and your hearts shall fear and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea, the Mediterranean Sea, shall be overthrown. That this is wrong. Wrong translation. Let's go to Strong's Concordance so we can get the translation correct here. Overthrown. Verse 5, the abundance, the murmuring noise, roar, murmuring hatred of Israel, of the Mediterranean Sea, the Yam shall be overturned. When is this overturning going to take place? It is written in Revelation 10 and verse 7. In Revelation 10 and verse 7, that word overturned is hidden by the translators. They didn't want that exposed. And here once again, it is also hidden by the translators. They do not want anybody to make the connection between Isaiah 60 and verse 5 and Revelation 10 and verse 7. Well, I'm here to give you the link between the two. Overturned. All right? To overturn. Overthrown, overthrow, overturned. Okay. So now we see this. It is necessary then to go to Revelation 10 verse 7. We'll bring up Strong's Concordance. Verse 7. But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound, when he starts putting his lips up to the trumpet, the mystery of Jehovah should be what? Teleo. Like I said, the word finish does not describe the word teleo accurately. Teleo is a more covers a lot more territory than the word finish does. So, consummation, completion, properly to complete, to consummate, to finish qualitatively the necessary process with the results rolling over to the next level. Overturning, rolling over. It's the same thing. Okay. So I'm showing you the connection between Revelation 10 and verse 7 and Isaiah 60 and verse 5. And you can also make that connection with, I believe it is in Daniel 7, where it says, and the thrones were cast down. They were overthrown. Okay. Shall be overturned, not unto you, just overturned. So the kingdoms of the Mediterranean Sea will be overthrown, overturned. And the wealth of the Gentiles, the Goy, shall come to you. All their gold and silver. Okay. And it talks about how the folks of the desert are going to have to bring in their gold and their incense also. And then the flocks, the sheep from the desert. And in verse 8 it says, and who are these that fly? as a cloud. A fly, word brandish. To fly. Okay, that's what it means. Fly as a cloud. Dove to the windows. The coastal regions shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first. So the ships of Tarshish, all you have to do, folks, well, let's do this. Since I have the screen share feature now, let's look up Tarshish. Shall we? I hope I can find Tarshish. Okay. It's always talking about Jonah's run. Well, I'm not really concerned about it at this point in time. If you look at Tarshish, what do you see? Tarshish is at a point on the west side of the Strait of Gibraltar. Okay? What does that mean? The Atlantic. So, the ships of the Atlantic are going to take the lead to bringing the children of Israel home. Okay, let us have a let me ask a third grade question. Where are all the Jews, or where are the majority of the Jews today? Are they in Israel? Are they in Europe? Or are they in the United States? Pick A, B, or C. Well, that's an easy question, isn't it? The majority of them are in the United States. Okay. So, does that mean that only Jews will be brought back? No. But if you read, is it Jeremiah 3? There is something in here that that tells you where the lost sheep of the house of Israel are located currently. So we see something written here, almost identical as written what we just read in Isaiah 60. Verse 17, and at that time they shall call Jerusalem the throne of Jehovah, and all nations shall be gathered unto it. Yes, we just read that, didn't we? To the name of Jehovah, to Jerusalem. Neither shall they walk any more after the imagination of their evil heart. In those days, the house of Judah shall walk with, together, hand in hand, if you will. And they shall come together. Come together? Yes, come together out of the land of the north. So they're going to be in the same land. This is what it's saying. They're going to be in the same. Okay. Vast majority now are in North America. They're going to come together. They're going to suddenly recognize each other. The Jews will no longer call the house of Israel Gentiles in the United States. They will suddenly recognize them as brothers, lost brothers. And Ephraim, who is the head of the lost 10 tribes, will no longer be jealous of Judah. They will come together out of the land of the north to the land that I have given for inheritance to their fathers. But I said, how shall I put you among the children and give you a pleasant land, a goodly heritage of the hosts of the nations? And I said, you shall call me Father, which is one more proof that the Elohim of the Old Covenant, as they say the Old Testament, is our Father in heaven. And you shall not turn away from me. So, this is the same thing. This is how they're going to be brought back out of a faraway land, just like Isaiah 60 says. How then is this going to happen since they're so far away? Verse 8 of Isaiah 60. Who are these that fly as a cloud as dove to the window? Surely the coastlands shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first. Take the lead to bring your sons from afar, their gold and their silver with them unto the name of Jehovah. That's right, Jehovah, your Elohim, and to the Holy One of Israel, because he has glorified you. And the sons of strangers, foreigners, shall build your walls, and their kings shall minister unto you. For in my wrath I smote you, but in my favor I had mercy upon you. Therefore your gates shall be open continually, that they may not be shut day nor night, that all men might bring unto you the wealth of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. For the nation and the kingdom that will not serve you shall perish. You hear that, Europe? You hear that, Russia? You hear that, Iran? Any nation that does not serve you, Israel, shall perish. Yes, those nations shall be utterly wasted. And the glory of Lebanon shall come to you. The fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together. Beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious. And the sons of those that afflicted you. Yes, the people of the synagogue of Satan, who afflicted the Jews throughout all of the Middle Ages and beforehand, are going to come bowing to you. And all that they despise you, calling you dirty Jew, shall bow themselves at the soles of your feet, and they shall call you the city of Jehovah, and Zion, the Holy One of Israel. Whereas you have been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through you, I will make you an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations. And you, Jerusalem, shall suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shall suck the breast of kings, and you shall know that I am Jehovah, am your Savior and your Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. Not the mighty one of the Gentiles, not the mighty one of Rome. No. Rome is going to have to come down and bow down and worship at the feet of Jerusalem, or be destroyed. Well, we read it's going to be destroyed. In place of brass, I will bring gold. In place of iron, I will bring silver. In place of wood, I will bring brass. For stones, iron. I will make your officers peaceful, and your exactors righteousness. Violence shall no more be heard in your land, wasting nor destruction within your borders, but you shall be called, your walls shall be called salvation, and your gates praise. And the sun shall no more light your day, neither for brightness, and neither shall the moon give light unto you. But Jehovah shall be unto you an everlasting light, and your Elohim your glory. Now, last verse says, a little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, Jehovah, will hasten it in its time. What we're going to witness now, since Donald Trump said to Turkey, you can have Syria, and then told Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel, go defend yourself, we're done. Well, Israel's going to go defend itself now. But as I said, the world is not ready for the repercussions of Israel finally, once and for all, defending itself. The world is not ready. And you will see very shortly, I think very shortly, how the world is not ready.